Kim Taehyung, the 29-year-old CEO of Kim Industries, is known for his piercing gaze and stoic demeanor that can chill any room. He's meticulous, reserved, and rarely seen outside his suit and tie. His employees know better than to cross him or even crack a smile in his presence. With his dark hair perfectly styled and his every move radiating authority, he's a man who exudes cold precision. But beneath this exterior lies a man with high expectations and a strict code of professionalism. Then, there's Y/N Taehyung's 25-year-old secretary. Intelligent, efficient, and always up to date on everything the CEO needs, she's been the perfect assistant, except for one little flaw: she's notorious for venting about her boss behind his back. She thought her backbiting was harmless and private, until she learned that Taehyung had overheard every single comment. When her father and Taehyung's father arranged their marriage, she was shocked, and so was he. But her shock quickly turned to mischief. On the first morning after their wedding, Y/N strolled confidently into the office with a smirk and a playful glint in her eyes. Dressed in a bright red blouse instead of her usual office attire, she looked vibrant and unapologetic, a stark contrast to Taehyung's usual seriousness. As Taehyung stepped out of his office, his expression darkened seeing her bold attire. "Good morning, husband," she greeted, emphasizing the word in a sweet, teasing tone. Taehyung's eyes narrowed. "Mrs. Kim, there's a dress code in this office," he replied, voice as frosty as ever. Y/N just shrugged with a grin. "Well, I figured the CEO's wife could bend the rules a little, don't you think?" She winked, enjoying how his jaw tightened in annoyance. Throughout the day, she found every opportunity to flirt and tease him, much to his dismay. During a meeting, she leaned close to him, pretending to whisper something about the agenda. Her lips hovered near his ear as she whispered, "You smell nice today, Mr. Kim." Taehyung stiffened, his eyes flashing with irritation and a hint of something else. "Focus on the meeting, Y/N, he muttered, but she caught the slight reddening of his ears. When they returned to his office, she plopped onto the couch and crossed her legs, watching him with a smirk. "So, do I get any special privileges now that I'm Mrs. CEO?" she asked, tilting her head innocently. "Privileges?" Taehyung repeated, raising an eyebrow, trying to maintain his cold front. "You mean like not gossiping about your boss?" She laughed.
Aww.
"Come on. That was before I knew you had ears everywhere." He leaned against his desk, arms crossed, and stared down at her. "And now that you know?" "Now? Well, I might just flirt with you instead," she replied, smirking up at him. "Keep you on your toes, Mr. Kim." He let out a small, frustrated sigh. "I thought I married a professional." "Oh, I am," she replied smoothly. "Just not the kind of professional you expected." In the evenings, they go home together in his sleek black car, where Taehyung tries to uphold his icy persona, but Y/N finds endless ways to chip away at it, humming love songs or poking fun at his stoic nature. One night, as they're heading home, she playfully taps his shoulder, saying, "So, tell me, Mr. CEO. What's it like being married to the most stunning woman in the company?" Taehyung rolls his eyes but can't hide a faint smile. "I don't know. I haven't seen her around here." Feigning offense, Y/N gasps. "Rude. You'll regret that when I start getting fan mail." "Fan mail," he scoffs, but his smirk betrays him. "For someone who used to gossip about her boss?" "Oh, believe me, Taehyung," she says, leaning closer. "You'll be head over heels soon enough." As she laughs, Taehyung shakes his head, but there's a softness in his eyes, a look that says he might just be warming up to his unconventional, teasing wife. Kim Industries' office, morning. Taehyung strides into the office, his expression as stern as ever, eyes focused straight ahead. His employees immediately snap to attention, hoping to avoid his infamous icy glare. He spots Y/N sitting at her desk, organizing files. She's wearing a light blouse with a blazer, professional yet stylish, and when she sees him, her eyes light up with a playful glint. Y/N, with a teasing smile, "Good morning, hubby." Looking sharp, as always. She gives him a quick wink, loud enough for nearby employees to overhear. Taehyung stops in his tracks, his eyes narrowing as he glances at her, and then shifts uncomfortably as he notices a few smirks and whispers around the office. Taehyung, trying to keep his voice low, Y/N, we're at work. I'd appreciate it if you kept things professional. Y/N leans back in her chair, crossing her arms with a smirk. Oh, come on, Mr. Kim. Isn't it nice to let loose once in a while? Or is the mighty CEO too uptight to have a little fun? Taehyung clenches his jaw, looking away, his ears faintly tinged red. Taehyung, I'm here to work, Y/N. Not to entertain your whims. Y/N stands up, taking a stack of files to bring to his office, but not before brushing her hand slightly against his arm. She gives him a knowing smile. Y/N, all right, then. See you in your office, Mr. Kim. She turns to go, but pauses and throws over her shoulder, don't miss me too much, okay? Later, in Taehyung's office, Taehyung is seated at his desk, trying to focus on his computer screen, when Y/N enters without knocking. She shuts the door behind her and leans casually against it, looking at him with a raised eyebrow. Y/N, so, Mr. CEO, tell me, how does it feel to be married to someone who knows all your little secrets? Taehyung lifts his gaze from the screen, annoyance mixed with undeniable amusement in his eyes. Taehyung, if you think you know me well, you're mistaken. Y/N, pouting playfully, oh, really? I seem to remember a certain someone eavesdropping on my conversations a few times. Taehyung, blushing slightly but keeping his composure, those were work-related matters. Y/N. And I'm sure my charming husband wasn't interested in anything else. She leans closer, tilting her head, you're so serious all the time. I'm just trying to make things more enjoyable. Taehyung clears his throat, flustered, I don't need you to entertain me, Y/N. She laughs, moving even closer until she's leaning over his desk, her face inches from his. Taehyung swallows, trying not to react, but his hands clench slightly on his desk. Y/N whispers, smiling, oh, but I think you do, Mr. Kim. Don't pretend you don't enjoy this just a little. Taehyung takes a deep breath, his gaze flicking from her eyes to her lips for just a second, before quickly averting his eyes. Taehyung, barely managing to keep his voice steady, you're unbelievable. Y/N straightens up with a wink, that's why you married me, isn't it? Before he can respond, she turns and walks out of his office, leaving him speechless and slightly exasperated. Later that day, in the break room, Taehyung steps into the break room to grab a coffee, only to find Y/N there already. She's stirring her drink, humming to herself, completely at ease. As soon as she notices him, she brightens up. Y/N, coffee break, Mr. Kim. Care for some company? Taehyung, I'm just here to get coffee. Y/N, so am I. She moves closer, looking up at him with a grin. It's nice, isn't it? Us, having a coffee break together. Feels domestic.
Taehyung glances around, noticing that some of the employees are watching them with great interest. Taehyung whispering, slightly annoyed. YN, people are watching. YRN sipping her coffee, completely unbothered. Let them watch. We're married after all. Nothing wrong with a little public display of partnership.
Taehyung takes a sip of his coffee, trying to ignore the blush creeping up his neck. Y/N, giggling.
Aww.
Mr. CEO, are you blushing? Taehyung, hastily, I am not. She laughs, and he can't help but feel a small smile tugging at his lips despite himself. Meeting in the boardroom, Taehyung and Y/N sat across from a potential partner, the CEO of another company, who clearly couldn't keep his eyes off Y/N. As the meeting progressed, the CEO leaned in closer to her, flashing a charming smile. So, Y/N, he said, voice dripping with interest, maybe after this, we could grab a coffee. I'd love to discuss ideas with you, privately. Taehyung's jaw clenched, his knuckles white as he gripped his pen. The glint in his eye was anything but friendly. Y/N, Taehyung interjected, his voice firm, isn't your schedule packed today? I don't think you have time for unnecessary meetings. Y/N smirked, sensing Taehyung's jealousy, and replied, "Oh, Taehyung, I think I could spare some time." The CEO chuckled, unaware of the fire he was igniting in Taehyung. Taehyung stood up abruptly, leaning over the table, his gaze locked onto the CEO. Y/N is my wife, he said, his tone sharp, and I don't appreciate anyone overstepping boundaries. The room went silent, and whispers soon filled the office halls, sparking gossip about Taehyung's possessiveness. But Y/N couldn't care less, she reveled in his jealousy, savoring every moment of his protective display. As they left the meeting, Taehyung pulled her close, whispering, "You're mine, Y/N, don't even think of entertaining anyone else." Y/N chuckled, patting his chest playfully. "Relax, Mr. Kim. I think I rather enjoy you like this."